Happy New Year, everyone. I do pray that each one of you have continued joy, peace, love, and prosperity in 2023 and the years to come. Thank you so much for joining us for our first episode of Kinky Knots Cafe. Proactive is the way in 2023. For those who don't know us, Proactive is the Way. It is a podcast brought to you by two sisters who dove into the health and wellness industry, one planned and the other by fate. We have joined forces to bring to you authentic conversations about our personal experiences as it relates to managing our health, working within the industry, and taking our combined knowledge to share with you some golden nuggets or pearls of wisdom that you can take with you to live the best version of you. Every 2 weeks, we will continue to host an episode. Each month, we will focus on a specific topic that is designed to increase an awareness of tools and resources to enhance an aspect of your mind, body, and spirit. Our topic this month will be all about principles. What standards have you set that serve as your benchmark and are the foundation for how you live your life? What guidelines do you have in place that support or influence your actions? So before we begin, if you haven't noticed by now, and if you've been following us for some time, we have been spending a lot of time truly getting to know ourselves. We will be doing this over the next year. Our calendar is already set. If you joined us for our very first episode on Proactive is the Way, we kicked things off by discussing what steps we need or what we can take to design our lives. As we were going through this process, there was a lot of reflection work. And it was within that reflection work, especially as it relates to understanding our views on life and work, that I thought, I don't think I ever really thought this much about my views. How do I view work? How do I view life? I just lived it. And so it was at this moment that I realized that there was more that we needed to do here. There was more to this particular exercise, and being successful in completing this exercise, we truly needed to know who are we? So each episode will be built around just that. We have already addressed our habits, right? How they are formulated and how to make good ones and break the bad ones. Today, we will discuss what principles or guidelines do we have in place that sets the tone for the way we make decisions and live within our lives. Over the next year, we will discuss flow states, how to effectively listen for the voice of our vocation. We will also discuss what makes a good life and how do we define that within our lives. We will dive into understanding our levels of emotional intelligence and self-control and how this impacts our lives. We will work on designing our Odyssey years by doing some mind mapping and laying out our 5-year plan and then building our network. Because if you recall, at the very end, we discussed how it's so important to have the right people within our lives that will help us along on this journey. Because no one, not one, does this alone. Whether you agree or not, There are not only seen, but unseen forces that are guiding you on your path to success, to your victory. All right, so let's get it. Tiff, we're going to kick things off. We're going to dive in here. I'm going to ask you a few questions about your principles. I want you to share with us, what principles do you have in your life that serves as a baseline for how you make decisions and ultimately live?
Well, good morning. Oh, well, is it still morning there? Okay. Yeah.
It's morning. Yeah.
So, right. Happy New Year, everybody. So for my life, what I have found that has improved my success and will continue to improve um my success is number one, being passionate about what I believe in and staying true to that. That's number one. Number two is self-care. Um, I believe that um, our bodies are a temple, and not from a religious aspect, but more from a spiritual, and that we are vessels and temples, and we need to keep our bodies healthy. Number three, um, uh, is surrounding myself with what I want to be like. So I am purposeful and deliberate about finding those people that can ensure my continued success, finding those opportunities that can ensure my continued success. Number four is others, thinking of others, um, having a sense of servitude, having a sense of giving and sharing, whether it's finances or knowledge, but just sharing with others, giving to others. And then number five would be always stay learning, always keep developing, don't stop. So those are just some of the principles, just briefly, that I live by, and I believe that have really secured some of the places I've been, and then some of the places I'm going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like your principle on self-care. Yeah, because I think the reality is, we really truly have to take care of ourselves first. And a lot of people look at this and be like, oh, she sounds so selfish. Mm-mm. It's not about that, because, when you learn to take care of yourself first and you were in a healthy state of mind, body, and spirit, then you tend to have the capabilities and to hit your last your fourth principle, to serve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget that time when daddy told me about the airline stewardess adage. Did he ever go through that with you?
Remind me.
Yeah, he was like, when we get on the plane, Toya, and the stewardess is going over all the precautions and all of the different things that we need to do to prepare in the event of an emergency, he said one of the recommendations is that we take care of ourselves first. If the oxygen masks drop, make sure to put yours on first before you help anyone else, right?
I like that.
Yes,
That's
because
making
other
me tearful. He's never said that to me.
no
When did he say this? Like what year?
years ago.
Because he's been ahead of everybody. Even when reading this book, and I won't get into it, but even with reading this book, he
Uh-huh.
had said some of this stuff way back before I heard it. When we were
Way back.
little, he was saying this stuff that this author is saying in this book. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, like
He's doing this is telling
way
us
back.
that. Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
yeah. And
I
so
like that.
I really love that because because he was saying if you don't put your oxygen mask on first, right? She says otherwise, he said otherwise you may not possess enough then to help yourself. So you're over here, you're helping others, you're putting their mask on, and you over there and you can't breathe, And so for me, self-care is so important. Putting myself first, making sure that I'm taking care of my health. So, make every morning I wake up, I focus on setting my agenda, taking about, 1.5 to 2 hours to work out every morning. That is so important, right? Making sure to develop myself in some sort of way from an educational perspective. I'm always looking for articles or some sort of guide. And because we have technology
We're
and
so lucky.
information, yeah, we're so connected and information sharing. I mean, our world is full of guidance, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just have to have that gift of discernment to know what is helpful, what is true, and what we can apply to or within our day to day. So yeah, I really like that. And you said that uh helping others, that whole idea of servitude. I
I
was just
really enjoy it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, it just gives me a good feeling to be able to, you know, retain knowledge the way that I do, retain information the way that I do, and then be able to regurgitate it and give it back to someone because what it has done for me, I'm able to then share that. And more of my giving comes from knowledge and teaching others, and then watching them improve and reach goals and reach um, you know, things in their life that um may not have been possible.
absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And it made me think about how just last night Tish called me. She was like, Toya, do this. And she's always doing this. No, hey girl, how you doing? Toya, and I love that because I feel like I think that's a part of who I really think that is one of the reasons why we are here, right? I believe that we are here. We're not only designed to meet our own desires, but to serve as guides to others, right? I believe that a part of each one of us, once we get to a certain point, or even not even once we get to that point, but once we have the capabilities to help others, that should be a staple within uh, within our
Me.
character,
Mm-hmm.
right? It should be woven into the fabric of our DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that. That definitely is critical. I know
What are your five
kind of my
principles?
five top principles that I have. Yeah, well, one was that one, the taking care of self.
Also,
So that was definitely when you said that, I was like, and you said it, you put it as number two. It was on number two on my list too. I was like, if we just be like, I don't know what that is, what you call that, but we are always aligned quite often. The first one I had was making sure that I focus on living in the present moment. However, I want to be mindful that I don't ever forget my past as well. There's beauty and reflecting on the past, because
Uh-huh.
as right, it serves as our guide on how we need to continue within our own personal growth, our personal development, but always making sure to be, thankful, making sure that we are living within our present moment. Number two was, of course, self care. Number three, I try not to dwell on things that I can't control. So anytime I'm embarking on a particular endeavor, etc., I really think that's important because I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to get stuck in over analyzing a situation, trying to find out how to get over it. And I really don't possess the capabilities to, because I can't control that situation. Right. And so I really am mindful about trying not to get stuck into an environment or into a situation in which I don't have any influence. I gotta move on. Right. The other one is making sure that I live in truth, with a high regard of respect for and love for myself. I think that we have to be mindful about our existence. Our existence, the reason that the fact that we are here validates us. You don't need nobody to tell you that you were validated. The fact that you was given breath validates you,
Mm-hmm.
period.
The
Right?
end.
And so I want to be mindful of that, and so I spend a lot of time in self-reflection on how to make sure that I show myself love, right? Because the reality is, and I said this before in our other podcast, is how can I expect you to love me if I don't love myself? I have to have enough love within myself to, because when you do that, you have the capabilities to carry on no matter what environment you are in, no matter what adversity
Right.
you inevitably are are consumed by, right? Um, so that was another one. And then another one was about being vested, and we have our shirts out in the KK Cafe collection. If you guys haven't checked it out, please go to www.kinkyknotscafe.com and check out the shirts, because we really truly cannot be vested in the way that others perceive us, right?
Mm-mm, mm-mm. And I told you I learned that
The
from the
teacher, your
nursing
professor.
instructor. Yeah,
Yeah,
how she framed it was, um, uh, I cannot take ownership in how you feel. I'm
yeah.
not going to take ownership in your feelings about, a
Yeah. Well,
situation.
and yeah, and she's like, I can't take ownership in your feelings, but I keep thinking about, yeah, not even ownership in someone else's feelings, but how they perceive you, right? Because a lot of people, and you hear it all the time, perception is reality, right?
But
And
what
I
does
think
that
to
mean?
myself, what the heck does that mean? From my perspective, I just feel like that's a false accusation of who you are developing a false idea of who I am as a person. It's not based on reality. It's not based on you truly getting to know me. And from my perspective, we tend to always be concerned about what other people think about us, and they don't really know you, right? They're perceiving. They're taking on what others have said about you, and you can get stuck in that, right?
You
you can
can.
you can have low self-esteem,
Hmm. I agree.
because of how people perceive you, but they don't know you.
But there was a term someone used with me when I was younger. Oh no, no, it was at a church actually. I think a preacher said it. That is self-esteem by exclusion.
Mm. Self-esteem by exclusion. Help me to
Uh-huh.
understand that.
So like that's the way people build you up, because if they're, say if it's a negative perception of you, right?
Mhm.
If it's a negative perception of you, then it boosts their self-esteem by excluding you for a reason that
Mm.
is of their perception, especially if it's like negative. It's
Mhm.
a way that they can, exclude you but make themselves feel better.
That's
If that makes
interesting.
if that makes sense.
That sounds a little insane. Ain't insane. Like you not wrapped too tight.
But people do it. A
Mhm.
lot of these things that we talk about, there just wasn't a name for it, but now we have more clarity. Now we have third and fourth eyes, and so now we're seeing a little bit more clear, and we're naming things for what they are.
Right.
We have better understanding, and are able to, for real, just provide clarity for some of these things. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say that's woke. We just changing the terms.
Yeah. No, but I just think it's that we have to be mindful of that because, I told you I never it wasn't until about 2015, 2016 when my world changed. And I felt like I was being attacked by people and I didn't understand. And I was like, gosh, they don't really even know me. I never had a problem with building relationships, right? And I kept feeling like folks were judging me, and not only judging me but condemning me. I don't mind if you judge me, but condemning me based on a perception and not really getting to know me, right? Because I truly believe that whole idea, it's such a short-sighted idea, to perceive someone and to say that that is reality. It's a short-sighted statement that leans really on laziness, and it allows one to continue to evaluate another and come to a conclusion based on lies. And we really have to be mindful that we don't get caught up in that. Um, and how it's so important that we truly get in the habit of getting to know people versus and coming to a logical conclusion about someone versus perceiving, right? Find out the truth. We got time. We got
Exactly. Take the time,
Yeah,
right?
take the time to do it, right?
But
Such
so
a
I had to look up,
Mhm.
like, perception is reality. But it's very important, like when you're communicating that concept to people, to say your perception is your reality, because that saying actually means you have a mental impression of something and it defines how you see that something regardless of the truth.
So think about that, right?
Mhm.
Think about saying that. You have to be very careful. It's such a dangerous practice.
Mhm.
It means that you are literally teaching yourself to live a lie, to accept
A
a
lie.
lie. Um,
Which is what people do to establish control over other people.
mhm,
What is what people do to exclude other people, or to
mhm,
make their exclusion compelling to other groups of people.
mhm,
It's kind of like what this Speaker of the House just had to do.
mhm,
They voted on him 15 times, and this hasn't been done since the 1600s or something.
mhm,
I forget the years that it's never been done.
mhm.
Um, but like he's having to, give all these different reasons, and and all of his is a lie. Yeah, he ain't. Have you been
Well, you-
following it?
I have not.
Oh, yeah, it's a bit much. But anyway, throw that
Okay.
little politics in there, but go ahead.
Yeah. And then the last one for me is making sure that in everything that I do, that I just do it. I have, and I was just showing Tiffany here today, our faith over fear sweatshirts we got out, right? I'll just go ahead and throw that up. Y'all can see that. Very nice, by the way.
It
Very
is nice.
good
I
quality.
can't wait to
Fresh
get
shirt.
mine.
Yeah, it's on the mail. It's coming to you soon. But yeah, so faith over fear, just making sure in the morning I get up and I just do it. I do the things that I love, even if I'm even if it's new, right? Um, I just do it. I get up, I do it, I have faith over it and get started. Um, and I also want to be mindful when I say that, the whole idea of faith over fear. I want to make sure that I'm not living with a scarcity mindset, right? I don't want to live and be like um not open about the things that I'm doing. And yes, I get that whole idea. Folks always say, don't show people what you're doing. Just how do they say it? Don't show people what you're doing. Just launch, right?
Yeah, just do it. Because
Just
you know
do
what, Toya, what I have found, and I'm gonna use our eldest sister as an example because I believe that people really are not genuinely tapped into being happy for your success.
it.
And
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be so deep seated. You have to be so deep seated
Mm-hmm.
in what you believe in and what you're passionate about. And unfortunately, you have to be self-centered, so much so that when they come in at you from all different angles,
Mm-hmm.
um, you're still able to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of that pressure will that kind of pressure, where you have so much stress, so much adversity um coming at you constantly like that, it would make you want to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It provides that element of I give up.
Mm-hmm.
It provides that element of complacency. And so
Right.
when I was talking to her, she was like, I just don't understand. Well, what she does, and I like this because she doesn't try to be retaliatory or try to be um aggressive, or not aggressive, but she doesn't try to be mean. She's like, if you saw that I needed help,
Mm-hmm.
why do I need to ask you for help? And she was in a relationship to, I guess, like a situation she had, and I don't know if it was friend or family member,
Mm-hmm.
but she was citing that um they just don't offer to help. It's like she has to beg for help. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like really frustrated listening to it because I'm thinking to myself, all the stuff that she has done, honestly, like, because I can't discount that, all of the stuff she has done for her family,
Mm-hmm.
they should be bending over backwards. What can I, how can I help you? Even if it's, even even you have no money, it doesn't matter. How can I lend my hand? How can I lend my time to help you, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
was explaining to her, you're not surrounded by the right people.
Right.
You can't surround yourself with people who are lesser than, and not necessarily, let me back up because I don't want to sound like a pretentious person. But you got to surround yourself with like-minded people.
Right. Well, birds with the same feather flock together. I was just talking with you about that, right?
Right, right. But you expecting that from people and expecting that kind of intuition or that kind of foresight from people who don't have the same drive.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, it's not really about money, because anybody can really make money if
Right.
they want to, right?
Right.
It's about the drive. It's
Mm-hmm.
about the things behind those things. But yeah, I was just frustrated listening to her, and I'm thinking to myself, I was like, listen, stop dealing with those people. Find you a group, a circle of people, and pitch all of your ideas to the right people.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, for for their, for dating, it's not going to be a minority group of people. Unfortunately, well, that's just the way I feel because, for one, their visions are, oh, this is all about money.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I think of and I listen to people say, oh, I'm opening a group home. Why? Why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's like the thing behind the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and maybe I shouldn't dissect it like that because maybe that's a judgment. But
I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop you right now. Judge all the way. Okay. Because that's what we need to do. We need to learn to think logically. We,
or I should say analyze.
yeah, you can analyze, but you can also judge too. I just think in our and in what we do while we are judging, we have to learn that we don't really have the we shouldn't condemn, right? Because we all are going through ebb and flows and learning and developing and removing pieces that don't work within our lives, etc. I don't think we have our places to condemn, but we should have the ability to think critically and come to a logical conclusion. So, you know me, when every time somebody be like, "Don't judge me," I'm like, but anyways, but yeah, no, thanks for sharing that because I do like that. I think that we one of the other things that I wanted to share is I want to make sure that we get in the habit of understanding that, when we're out there servicing others, when we're out there living our lives, have that mindset that, there is enough. We have to get away from thinking that we can't be happy for others or we can't support others' endeavors because they're going to take something away from me, you know. And that's why I share and I share freely. Anytime somebody call me, right there, you know me, and right as soon as your lips form to ask me something, I'm like, okay, what can I do for you? And I do that because I think it's so important that if we can't have a hoarder's mindset. Have you seen a hoarder's house? It's all cluttered, congested. You can't see or think clearly.
And they can't think clear. Right. That's what I was just getting ready to say. How
Yeah.
do you think in that kind of space?
You
Like right now, my space is too cluttered. And I'm sitting here thinking already, when you just said that, I was thinking of all the cleaning I'm going to attempt to do today. Because I cleaned the kitchen when I came home. I said I can't think straight with.
Yeah, but that's what starts to happen because that's the mindset, that's your mentality starting to take over. And I just think that we have to really get better at understanding that there is enough and we should be in this world, in this space, helping, and helping unconditionally, loving unconditionally. And that's how we are going to have the snowball effect of others doing. You always hear that idea of paying it forward. You'll have this snowball effect of everyone paying it forward, of everyone doing good by and for each other, that eventually we'll have this progressive society that we've always desired. But right now I feel like
We'll eventually have our Wakanda.
yeah, right, right. Yeah, where we were sharing freely. And I was like, what if we just dare to do something different? Let's just,
Exactly. What if
just
we just
right.
dare to stick together as Black people? How about that?
Yeah. I mean, Black people, I know you like to, I know you pro-Black, but me just in general, just as people, I just be like, you guys, we are all human. We are all living here together, designed to make this a better place. If we could just dare to do it differently, show more compassion, right? Have learn to have an understanding first, right? Learn to give without condition. I just feel like we'd have such a more progressive society, really and truly. All right, all right. So another thought that I had, a question that I had is, over, because we always set these principles, and I know we only just gave the top five, but can you share with me, over the course of your life, how have your principles changed? Have they changed, and how have they changed, and why?
Oh, I think they have evolved significantly, and that comes with maturity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I spoke about, excuse me, one of my principles being about being passionate about what you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was younger, being passionate about what I believe in, I really didn't give a fuck who I offended.
You
And
sure
that
did, girl.
and I still have
Like,
I
you got to go to another school.
and it is, and that part is not funny, right? Because that could have really messed me up, right? But when I look back on it, if I had known words like diplomacy, right? If I had maybe taken some etiquette classes, or maybe even taken serious some of the things our parents put us in to kind of groom us in a way so that when we are dealing with different people and different things, we'll know, okay, your edginess is a little bit too edgy in this environment. But what I developed was non-filter. I just did not care. Either
Mm-hmm.
you're going to accept what I have to say, because typically what I like to do, and now what I like to do, is speak from evidence, because now everybody can check, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fact check me then.
Mm-hmm.
Fact fucking check me.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're going to find out is that I am telling the truth, and this is the evidence. Okay.
Right.
So when I was saying about my principal being passionate, how that has evolved for me is now, and one of my teachers told me to do it too. One of my instructors at UCLA, which
Okay.
is probably why they made the recommendation, not just because I lost my clinical site, but because um, I went off in one of my, end of the course surveys, and I was like, this instructor absolutely has a conflict of interest to be working here at UCLA. Like, I went off.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I'm gonna need you to practice a little bit of diplomacy. And I was like, I had to look up diplomacy, because I was just like, maybe I don't understand what diplomacy here is, because I was being diplomatic.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought,
Okay.
but I'm not. My approach, I don't want to say it's aggressive. I don't think my approach is aggressive. I just think when I have a idea or a thought in my head, and
Mm-hmm.
I know it to be true, like, because you have intuition. You
Right.
know when something, because you stop yourself and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not true. Wait a minute, hold on. I'm gonna look up, I'm gonna research that a little bit more before I keep spewing off. And that comes with maturity, right?
Right.
But but yeah, I how can I say, I'm losing my train of thought, but I just it's evolved for me, the passion, being passionate about what you believe in, and to make people
Mm-hmm.
go ahead.
And how you deliver it, right?
My
Right.
delivery.
So,
Yeah, I wouldn't say my delivery was off though. I
mhm.
think my delivery was too loud.
Okay. Too loud. Oh,
Uh-huh.
I mean, being loud though, sometimes you.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want loud.
Mm-hmm.
They want a soft opening. You know how, like, when stores open for the first time,
But
everything
sometimes
has
they
to
can't
be
hear you. It's like when you talk to your kids and you're like, baby, don't do that. Baby, don't do that. And you all of a sudden have to go off for someone to hear you, right?
in 2023. I guarantee you um that the people still are not ready. They
Mm-hmm.
want you to have this soft approach, because you can tell people aren't ready. Look at the mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Look at mental health.
Mm-hmm.
This huge mental health movement we have going on right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
People still aren't ready. Oh, they screamed at me, and now I'm shattered. I got post-traumatic stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we forgot to fold the clothes one night out the dryer, and got woke up screaming and hollering because daddy was frustrated with, and he about ripped the whole, I said, over some clothes in the dryer. you know I'm still here today. I've graduated from 4 different universities.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
But we couldn't cry PTSD.
Mm-mm.
We couldn't cry, ooh, oh, my mental health back then. And this is no shade to mental health. Don't get me wrong. I'm just using that example as,
Right.
yeah. So where was I?
About your passion and about having
Yeah, but I'm super passionate
evolved.
about. And that has evolved for me. So now I now sit back and I observe more, and
Mhm.
then I try to have a different approach. But I am a slow learner
Mhm.
because yesterday I can give
Trial
you
and error. Mhm.
yesterday I can give you an example. Now, I'm sitting here saying this, and so if the secretary over at the oncology office of my patient is listening to this, she's like, she's a liar. She went off on me. You damn right. Because let me tell you, they have delayed this woman's care. She got advanced multiple myeloma.
Uh-huh.
And I keep calling this office asking for the consult report so I can coordinate this patient's care in a better way, right?
Mhm.
As soon as I call, they're tired of me calling. I already know they're tired of me calling. But see, when I'm advocating for my patient, we
Mhm.
should be able, this woman has 3 different insurances, and one of them is TRICARE. One of the better insurances, because it's military. Her husband was in the military.
Mm.
She still hasn't received treatment yet. Okay. This has been since last year. I've been trying to
And
get this woman
time
care.
is so important.
Important with cancer. She
Yeah.
has a blood cancer.
Wow.
So as soon as the lady, I heard her voice. So as soon as she started talking, I said, ma'am, I said, actually, you are incorrect. She has actually been seen by the oncologist, because what she proceeded to tell me was, oh, we typically do not start a treatment plan, because I was asking for the treatment plan.
Mhm.
We typically do not start a treatment plan until they've had a PET scan. And I said, ma'am, actually, the patient called me and told me that she did receive a treatment plan from the oncologist. I just need to know what's going on from there so I can either, coordinate home care, palliative care, in addition
Mhm.
to what she's going to receive from oncology, because she's going to need it, because starting chemotherapy at almost 80 years old is going to, you know, it's going to be a tough time when you already wasn't healthy to begin with, right?
Right.
So she could succumb to her illness right after the first dose of chemo. You know what I
Right.
mean? But anyway, they don't know all of that. It's unlicensed assistant personnel. So when she proceeded to tell me that, and then she gonna holler at me. So she raised her voice. So I said, let me tell you something. I said, the only thing I'm doing is advocating for my patients. And the only thing I need you to do is get me the report. Please fax it. Well, hold on one second. So then somebody else named Vanessa get on the phone. And Vanessa's like, I will have that right over to you. I am so sorry. There is a treatment plan. I said, I know there's a treatment plan. My patient called me and told me that there was a treatment plan, and I'm just following up so I can coordinate the care a little bit better, because this lady's care has been delayed since October.
Mm.
She had been coming to me since September for back pain, and I could not figure anything out. I was scanning her, doing this, doing that.
Mhm.
She finally ended up in the hospital. And that's when they found out that
Mhm.
she had advanced multiple myeloma after, guess what happened? A
What?
pathological fracture. So when you have cancer and it's moving and it's metastasizing, your bones
Mhm.
start breaking. It can get
Wow.
into the bone.
Okay.
Yeah. So now she has all these lower pelvis fractures and hip fractures. I mean, it's just so sad. So
Mhm.
sad.
Ridiculous. That
Yeah.
is.
But anyway, so she'll probably say that I'm a liar. But like I said, I'm a slow learner. Because so we yeah, because when I get fired up about something, then I got to be careful, because I'm looking out the corner of my eye, because it's a doctor on my right hand
Mhm.
side seeing me go off, and I could feel her look over like, and
Mhm.
I'm like, you need to
Right.
calm down, because I stay amped up. It's a wonder I don't have high blood pressure, because I've been at this for some years. I've probably been at this since I was 3.
Wow.
I,
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
I've
Yes,
been
you
I've been saying a lot of stuff since I
have.
was about 3 years old.
Oh my goodness. Oh
But
my goodness.
anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I'm glad to hear that, over time you've grown a little bit, you've matured, right?
Mature.
But you
I would say.
still have that passion behind the things that you do. And I have to agree with you that our principles, they do definitely involve, and you actually end up start creating new ones
Uh-huh.
based on the things that you go through within in life. I
Based
said
off of a continuous being in a continuous state of learning,
yes,
right?
absolutely,
So that
right.
was one of my
Everything
principles too.
evolves.
Yeah.
And it must evolve.
It should
It
evolve.
should evolve
I wish the Constitution
naturally.
evolved.
Yeah, no, but because well, you don't have growth if you're not evolving. Nothing's
Ooh.
finite.
And he said that author said that too. Things that don't grow die.
Very true. Very,
He
very
did.
true. You reach a certain point and then it just starts going downhill from there, And
Mhm.
so for me, I definitely think that my principles have definitely changed. One of the principles that I ended up adding within my life, and as I mentioned before, it only happened just recently, was that whole idea of taking a vested interest in how others perceive me. And I'm so happy that I actually added that respective principle into my life, because I didn't realize that I had this tendency to give people my power.
Give it
And
away.
yeah, I kept giving it away, and that was my fault, but I didn't realize it. It took me, you was like, I'm a slow learner. I was like, I must be super duper slow because I was really, giving my power away. And it just, I don't know what came over me, that one moment of reflection. And I was like, girl, you right. And so, I took it back
It's like,
and
girl.
yeah, and then I made sure that this is going to be a foundation in anything that I do. The moment I get started and someone start curling their lip to be like, you can't,
Who came?
like, yeah, my ear gonna become super deaf, because I lived for a very, very long. I can't say it was a long time. It took me a year and a half, 2 years to have that understanding that I kept doing that. But um, I have to have my core set. These are my core principles. I have to have them set. And as I continue and I grow, I want to, as we shared before, be mindful that we have to evolve and our principles will evolve and change based on what we do within our lives, what new endeavors we might pursue within our lives, right? Um, all right, so let me ask you, what do you think your life would be like, or if you didn't have these core principles that you have developed within your life?
Well, I wouldn't be here. Let's start there. Because
Mhm.
somebody would have probably found and tried to harm me because because they thought that they could. You know what I mean? But but I believe now for me, what it has done um is actually just for me, these principles are a frame of reference where I can go back to. But you're saying where would I be or where?
Yeah, so like if you didn't have these principles within your life, what would your life be like?
Yeah, I think it would be chaotic if I didn't because I take on so much mentally
Mhm,
that I think that it would be very misdirected.
mhm,
If I didn't develop these principles, if they hadn't evolved, it would have been pretty reckless for me. It would have definitely done something dangerous for me,
mhm,
whether it was ending my life or um, you know, but my principles have made me stronger.
right.
Um, I think we've spoken it before in other episodes. I feel respected
Mhm,
to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
especially in what I do,
Mm-hmm.
and not from a fear standpoint, but just because I have established a standard, that I have this knowledge and I can back it up,
Mm-hmm.
like with my articulation, with my intelligence.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay.
What about you?
Yeah. For me, I feel like I naturally I naturally have a tendency to just kind of flow in life, right? And with that kind of fluid state, I notice that while I flow, I tend to have a lot of structure behind my flow though, right?
You and
Um,
Daddy.
yeah, yeah. But I feel like if I didn't have that structure, if I didn't have a set of principles behind me, if they didn't exist, I would not have possessed the solid foundation to be steadfast and unshakable when adversity and his crew stood in my way, right? I wouldn't be able to move forward and continue to find success or find alternatives when I ran into a brick wall if I didn't have these set of principles. And so I think it's so important to, because I'll tell you before, Tiffany, before I read the book, Designing Your Life, I didn't really sit down and write, these are my principles. This is the foundation that I stand on. And I'm sorry, what am I, 45 now? I've never done that. But I had an idea, right? I had an idea, but I never wrote them down. And I'm happy that, right now today we've kind of done this exercise so that no matter what I do, um, my principles kind of serve as a guiding light to how I live my life,
Mm-hmm.
to help me to get through it. And I can always fall back and have a mental recollection to say, okay, Toya, in this particular situation, are you doing this, and this, right? And if you're not aligned here, here, and here, then you need to make sure that you are doing what you need to do in order to get back on the right track, right?
Mm-hmm.
What recommendation, Tiff, would you give to someone, on how to identify and set principles within their lives?
Read, research, have no fear to
Yeah.
change,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
because change is gonna come with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be willing to be vulnerable.
Yes.
Oh, and that's another author we gotta touch on too, Brene Brown.
Oh, we will.
You gotta learn about being vulnerable. Just
Yeah.
do it. I mean, is it really gonna cost you? And why have we been taught that being vulnerable is something
A
negative?
weakness is
Yeah.
what we've been taught. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but you do. You have to be open to what it's called constructive criticism, right? And I think we need to um, learn to be open-minded to constructiveness, because in reality, even if someone doesn't even know how to properly formulate their criticism, then we should possess it within ourselves to identify, well, is there any validity in what they're saying, right? Because I think so often instead of pausing, counting to 10 when we feel like someone is attacking us, um, you know, we add fuel to the fire by retaliating versus taking a step back, letting them go through their moment. Because some folks just don't know how to articulate their thoughts. They might love you though, You always had that uncle or cousin or someone who always got to just be coming off their mouth about something. And then, in the next breath, the next day, we're like, hey, you know, they don't know how to talk, but they might have something of value to add. And I think, we have to get better within ourselves and not always being the first to retaliate when someone says something to us, but taking a step back and thinking about what they said. And then of course, if something they said was hurtful, addressing that part, or not true, addressing that part, but also asking ourselves, what's the validity of what they said?
All
You
right.
know,
No, probably not.
maybe not, but it doesn't hurt to um, let ourselves be vulnerable a little
Right.
bit, so that we can hear
And
a
when I
little.
say probably not, I'm talking about allowing something to shape you, especially if it's something that don't serve you or something that you know not to be true.
But that's why reflection is so important,
It's
right?
so
Just
important. It's
pausing and reflecting on
pause.
what individuals say. And that's my take on, the question that I just asked you. What
You just
recommendation?
made another shirt too.
Yes.
Pause and reflect.
I like
You like that?
I'm about to get back into my design. No, let me stop. I like that. Yes, ma'am. But yeah, we have to get better at reflecting and, writing down what we stand for. Right. And I already shared this. I've never thought about my principles. I never wrote them down really.
Well, they're
Um,
intrinsic. You don't think about breathing, do you?
okay.
You
Why
don't think
you why
about
you still in my next sentence? Okay. You
you don't
no
you don't
serious. You
you
don't
don't think
because you
about
did it.
breathing, you don't think about your heart beating, but it does. So you just
Exactly.
live your principles
You
because
live
of
them.
your integrity, because of your morals and values, because of the
Yes.
foundation,
Very
or
good.
the way prepared for you by your parents or whoever.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, you are so.
Hallelujah. We need a symbol. What was that thing the lady at church? I need to go back to church. I can't even remember the instruments. What was the thing? What was the thing she used to shake when the preacher said something poignant?
Tambourine.
Was it a tambourine?
Tambourine here, girl. Bring that out. I got a tambourine that was on the piano. I had to bring that next time. Every time you say something, like, well, yeah.
Oh God.
But yeah, so yeah, we have to be more intentional about reflecting, about writing these
That's true.
principles down, because sometimes we do forget, and we don't go back to them and make sure that we are staying aligned. Because I truly believe that, if for me, in particular, had I wrote them down, I think, and practiced them in everything I do, I would have ventured less away from my path. I wouldn't have allowed myself to get off course,
Uh-huh.
as much as I did. Yeah. So
Because they would have been tangible.
right,
Like I
right.
got, hold on. Let me check my principal book.
Yes,
See
yes.
what
I
it
mean,
says.
they serve as your guiding light, right? Um, okay, okay, very good, very good. All right, well, this was some good stuff. Was there anything else that you wanted to add at
No,
all?
see, to everybody out there, like my 104-year-old grandmother said before she passed, be a light in this so dark.
Oh, I love when she said that.
Oh no.
I always say that.
And I hear it in
Light
my
in this
head all the
darkness.
time. I
Yep,
hear it in my head.
she's with you.
When I get frustrated,
Mhm.
when I'm trying to recenter myself after somebody then, caught me off guard with something,
Mhm.
I have to remind myself, be a light, be a light,
Yes.
be a
Yes.
light.
Yep. And
Because
we all have that capability. We all have that capability to be a light, as
we
whether or
do.
not we choose or want to.
We have to be intentional.
Intentional. Absolutely. All right. All right. Tiff, let's have at it. Where would we be without music this week? I I'll
Oh Lord.
I know, right? I already told Tiffany I was trying to hold it to myself, but I was like, let me go ahead and tell her so she can tell me, don't do that. No, but this week, and I don't know what was going on because I was reading articles and all of a sudden, I mean, not once, not twice, I think 3 times R. Kelly kept popping up in my feed. I was like, what is going on with the whole R. Kelly thing? You know, and so, but I'm gonna tell you, this man was a brilliant musician.
Brilliant. He
Mm.
couldn't even read. Have you heard his new album?
He got a new album.
Go on YouTube. And on it,
Oh,
he
is
sings,
that what this
I
is?
admit, I admit. He was like, I admit when I was on the Grammys and I was reading the teleprompter that I couldn't read. Oh, he goes into all these things he was admitting, but he
Oh,
never admits to his truth of being a pedophile. I need you to admit, because it's over. They didn't already gave you them 30 years and you black and you staying there. You're never
oh,
getting out, sir.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I think if people I think the criminals who are smarter who go, and I'm sorry to jump off on this, but
Okay.
um I think the criminals who are still have a bit of intelligence because they actually are very highly intelligent after working with them for 4.5 years.
Mhm.
Uh the ones who are humble when they go to court
Uh-huh.
and say, I admit it. The judge be like, 6 months, 45 years already served. You know what I mean? They can trick the
There's
judge.
beauty in truth. I'm gonna
There's
tell you.
beauty in your truth.
There's so much beauty
So,
in truth.
so to R. Kelly,
Mhm. But back
hear me.
on
Hold
R.
on, hold on.
Kelly. Mhm.
Hear me loud and clear, sir. Live your truth. You
Right.
like young, very young, and maybe even younger women.
You
And
just live in
lucky
the
for
wrong
you,
country for that.
you live in the wrong country. And you know, sir, why don't you ask for extradition?
Trip over my dang old screen over here. Stupid.
Yes, sir.
I hear
That just
you. Back
easily
up
said to the
away
judge,
from it. Back up
listen,
away.
oh, can you hear me? All he
Why would you ask for an extra You just in the wrong country, bro.
right, honey, because
Do that here.
they doing that 12-year-old shit in the Middle East. Why you didn't ask to be shipped? Hell, you got over here. Your ancestors got over here on the ship. You could have asked. I mean, you got to get creative with this system.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you, get
I'd have
creative.
been like that boy that went before the judge and said, he was like, how would you like to plea? He was like, well, I'll enter my plea if I can be tried as a white man.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. Look it up. But anyway, but to my brother R. Kelly, live your truth.
They might shave 45 years off of that.
He ain't getting out.
No, wow.
I
But
hope he don't do any harm to himself because that jail ain't nothing. Listen, as a medical provider in there,
mm-hmm,
it wasn't nothing to play with. So
mm,
imagine what them inmates go through.
right.
They go through temperature changes that are unreal. I
Mm-hmm.
was freezing cold, but I snuck in my own heater. Y'all ain't about to froze me to death in here. You know what I'm saying? It got me messed up. But anyway,
Wow. All right.
yeah.
So R. Kelly, I'm giving you a little light today in all your darkness. But yeah, his song came to mind. I believe I can fly. And it just kept sticking in my head, left and right. I believe I can fly. And it made me think about just the testament of our possibilities, of all our dreams coming true if we just believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we can just believe that we can walk confidently, unashamed, with the understanding that at the birth of our existence, when we took that first breath, we were fully validated. Right. And so I don't know, as I was going through this process, that was the song that came into my mind for this week. Join us all next week as we continue our discussions on principles, as we dive into You, Oh You by Eric Thomas. Eric will take us through his life story and help us to better understand how his plight in life and the principles he lived by led to his success. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a good one, folks. Tiffany, I know you were talking about Brianna White's book. It was talking to you. This book, right? It was talking to me.
Right, because he speaks in plain English.
Yeah, he rough. Oof.
He tried to use superfluous and use a couple of big words. I was like, now where that word from? What the heck?
But I loved it. I loved it. He said, because he's like, I work on my vocabulary.
He does, and I appreciate that because I've been carrying around the same GRE vocabulary cards since 2001. And occasionally I'm not lying, I can go get them right now. They're in my bag.
Right. Yeah, no, but I love
deep
that.
in his vocabulary so that he can work in circles. But yeah, we'll tap on that.
Yeah, we're gonna tap on that because this is a really good one, and I'm so thankful, Tiffany, that you recommended this one because we were about to read a 600-page book.
It helps to know. I'm listening to these books, 17 hours worth of listening. What in the hell is going on? And then on top of
I'm going to continue listening. I'm going to continue doing reading that particular book by what was it, Ray Dalio, The Principles. But this one was actually, I'm glad that you chose this one. I'm glad that you recommended this one because really and truly, this man was talking to me. I felt this man I connected with him on so many levels. And truly appreciated all that he shared. And I know that he got a bazillion pearls of wisdom in this book that you guys are truly going to find value in. So if you have not already done so, first and foremost, we do look forward to you joining us. But if you have not already done so, in preparation for our discussions, we have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of this book. And if you haven't been out on kinkyknotscafe.com recently, I went ahead and revamped it a little bit, make it easier for you all to retrieve some of the merchandise, the books that we are sharing within our podcast. So make sure you get out there. And then, of course, always to access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way. Please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.